Okay, from the outset, play this game. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun. It's a little difficult to kind of wrap your head around some of the puzzles, but like I'm not gonna do the whole YouTuber thing and like keep you to the end. No, play a observation. It's a good game. It's a short game. It's one that'll captivate you for a couple hours, and the story itself is really good. The story itself isn't groundbreaking. There's a movie called Polaris that very much does the same thing, and it came out in the 90s, I think, early 2000s. But it's very much a good game. I probably would give it a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10. And I like to consider myself a really harsh critic, but it is a very captivating game. It really catches you from the beginning, and it doesn't let you go until the end. So play Observation. It's spectacular. As far as storytelling goes, the rest of the game kind of falls short, but we'll get into that. But I just wanted to really come in from the outset and say, play the game. You'll enjoy it. You'll probably see something completely different than I did. But with that said, let's get into it. As I was recording this video for the first time, I realized that my opinion on Observation has evolved to a certain extent. It's gone from very impressed to somewhat let down, but also then impressed again. This is a game that really gets to you in one way or another, and I feel like some of the hate that it's gotten recently is unfounded, but also I can see where people are coming from. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at what makes Observation tick. Like I said in my first video, I had no idea that this game came out in 2020. Like, I thought it was more recent than that. And then all of a sudden, I get blindsided by the fact that this game is been around for 5 years and I just recently got to it. So for a game that was, a COVID video game, it is really good. Well, I guess it's not really a COVID video game. It would have probably been in production since before, but I guess it explains why I missed it. A lot of 2020 is basically a memory hole for a lot of us. But what is Observation? Why does it make me feel the way that it makes me feel? And I have to say, I think it's because it does what it does really well. And that is, it creates an environment and it creates an atmosphere a little too well. This like almost disconnected, disjointed, waking up from a nap on the couch, not knowing what time it is or what year it is, it makes that point a little too well. And I feel like it kind of, the whole Melia's Res thing of like starting in the middle works to both its advantage and its disadvantage. Let's begin with the characters. Both Fisher, Dr. Fisher, and Sam, who are essentially the protagonists of this story. Emma Fisher is a person who is very in control, very squared away. Yes, things don't make sense and nothing is as it seems, and she does panic a little, but for somebody who is all of a sudden in the orbit of Saturn when they're supposed to be in the orbit of Earth without knowing how you got there or when you got there, it's she could have been a mess in a corner for the entire game, and nobody would really fault her for that. The fact that she goes from being essentially nothing but work to a bit of an emotional wreck there for a minute, and then back to nothing but work is quite admirable. And she eventually turns into someone who is basically no longer herself, and I really like how they did that, and we'll get to that in a minute. Then there's Sam, the AI that you control, and I really like what they did with Sam and how they portray him as this broken machine, in the fact that you're playing the AI, and whether you are really good at these puzzles or really bad at these puzzles like me and you go through the entire game through the motions of trying to figure out how the whole UI works and how everything in this station works without being handheld through the entire game. It really gives the imagery, it really kind of puts across the idea that you are a broken AI, that you used to know everything and how everything worked, and now you're learning as you go, and you're reassembling yourself. And if, Sam takes forever to make a machine work, it can be pushed off on the fact that it is a busted AI, or it is an AI trying to learn from what it's looking at. And I really like that. Some people feel like the game is a little too vague and a little too hard, and I get that, but at the same time, like, get good, you know what I mean? Like, I struggled a lot in these puzzles, but I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't see it as a drawback from the video game. If anything, I see it as a strength, and I see it as more of a narrative tool than a fault of the game. Now, you could make the argument that maybe the puzzles are a little too asinine at times. Kind of, again, the plasma generator thing took me forever to realize, and it's maybe there could have been a little bit more in the realm of like, hey, you can click these buttons, but if you did that, I feel you would take away from the game. So at the end of the day, I believe that the difficulty of the game and having it be so vague and so nebulous at times, and not only adds to kind of the charm of the game, but it also adds to to basically the theme that you are an AI that is broken, that is trying to figure out how to put itself back together. And again, the way that you interact with the world as Sam is so interesting. It is so different to other games that I've played in the past, and it's one of the reasons why it really sucked me in. Beyond the main two characters of Emma and Sam, we have Jim and Josh, which sounds like a kind of shitty early 2000s Nickelodeon show, but these two individuals kind of are like I don't want to say like a foil to Emma and Sam, because they're not really meant to be that. They honestly, Josh is barely in the game at all, and he's supposed to be this other individual that we've been talking about or talking to since the beginning of the game. And then there's Jim, who's the captain of the vessel, of the space station, who goes crazy and tries to kill everyone in his version of Observation, because, well, he knows what or maybe he doesn't know, but he clearly was affected by the evil black hexagons early on in the game. And yeah, so Josh, I feel like they could have done more with Josh, but either way, Jim and Josh are the two other astronauts. Jim is the captain and Josh is I think he's the engineer. Either way, the two individuals kind of give a differing view of what's going on, and it kind of also adds more to this idea that you can't trust anyone in this game, not even yourself, which I really like, because the game from the very early on, from the very beginning, is constantly hitting home on the fact that you can't trust anything you're seeing, and the people that you talk to, you can't even figure out if they're real or not, because at one point there's some gameplay footage that I have that shows a version of Jim that is dead and is just sticking out of a wall, and I think that is just, the game glitched, but part of me doesn't fully know if the game glitched or not, and that's kind of what I love about it, is that is the game actually fucking with me, or is it just actually a glitch? But yeah, either way, these two other characters help kind of give more information, and Josh, just as I said, he just kind of gets left, and Jim tries to kill Emma and Sam, and then we kill him, which I think is, like I said, are the weaker part of the game. The whole situation with Jim and Josh, the whole situation with Josh is you can just you can remove him entirely, and the game just continues as is. So, and Jim, I feel like the game could have done a lot more with Emma and Sam trying to figure things out, maybe piece things together from what the captain and the other guy were doing, instead of having them in the game. It just adds unnecessary drama. But beyond that, that's pretty much all the characters in the game. Well, I guess there's the antagonist, which is the Storm, or the evil black hexagons, which themselves are the Storm, which you never fully understand their intentions. We understand that they want Emma, and then they want humanity, but we never really understand why. They give the vibe of like they're assimilators, but why do they want to assimilate humanity if they can like control reality? To what purpose that is? But I think it's good that it never explains why. It never explains their motives. It just leaves this eldritch kind of question mark. That just adds more strength to it, because the uncanny valley kicks in, and that dark valley of the mind that we never really fully see or are able to comprehend adds so much weight to it on its own. But beyond that, as I said, the game finds its strength mainly in its storytelling and its character design. The concept of, astronauts facing the unknown isn't necessarily a new one, but it is always a good one. Like I said earlier in the video, very much recommend this video game. And I do very much appreciate what it was trying to do, which was trying to give us kind of like a Lovecraftian horror video game that focuses more on the like unknown aspect of the world than giving us like a fully fleshed out concept of these creatures, because I feel like the more you reveal, the less it has, you know, like it's very much less is better in the case of these alien creatures that we don't know anything about except for the fact that they want us there. But like I said, the game itself finds most of its strength in its storytelling and in its character development and character design. And this is, I guess, where we come into where it struggles a bit. The game has several puzzles in it that seem that once you understand the overall like gist of each puzzle, you kind of get a hang of them. But getting a hang of the puzzle at first is it's a chore. Like it can sometimes feel like it's a little difficult to break through. And by a little difficult, I mean a lot. If you're not somebody who's very much in the mindset of playing a game for the story and understanding that, man, you're gonna struggle with some of these puzzles, it's going to be an absolute slog. I can see a lot of people who don't have the patience for this game, and it's not necessarily a bad thing not to have the patience for this game, because I didn't come into this game expecting it to be such a slog when it came to these puzzles, but I can see how people just don't like it. And then there's I feel like sometimes they leave a little too much to the imagination. They leave a little too much to the overall kind of vibe, and a little bit more explaining would have been good. Finding out a little bit more about like how we got there would have been all right as well. And maybe getting a little bit more information about these creatures that we're communicating with would have also been good. Not too much, just, you know, a little bit more flavor, a little bit more fleshed out. The characters themselves, Jim and Emma, are both relatively well fleshed out, but again, I also feel like Emma's character kind of goes from being a little scared and unsure and uncertain to just being way too gung-ho with things. Like, there is no gradual build. Now, I guess there is the whole, like, you know, she turns off Sam and turns him back on again, and there could have been several hours in between, but it doesn't really, like, go in deep into that, because, like, she goes from being panicked and trying to figure out things to jumping from one space station to another. There should have been a little bit more, you know, reasoning and like maybe like sitting down and going like, okay, we have no other option but jumping over. But just straight up pell-mell going from one station to the other, it feels a little too spontaneous and too I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for, a little too what's the word? It's too impulsive. It's, I don't know. She's supposed to be a scientist. She's supposed to be an astronaut. You would think that she would like think of like maybe jumping over to this other station is not that great of an idea. But I digress. The overall plot twist of, you know, there being a being trying to communicate with you through this entire game, it's really well done. It's really well developed. It's really well presented. The whole communication back and forth between us and the alien, it could have probably gone without. I get that you're trying to like communicate with them, and the more you communicate, the more you mesh with them and the more they instill themselves into you, but I feel like that could have been done better. And that's where we come to how Sam and Emma change, right? Because Sam and Emma, they go from an astronaut and an AI to almost like a herald, because when Emma gets left outside, she gets left outside for what we think is hours. It could be hours, and then all of a sudden she's speaking telepathically to Sam. After we let her back, after she calls to us, and after Sam goes full tentacle monster, like I really liked that concept, the idea that Sam, an AI, a machine, can be essentially influenced to the point where it starts to take on a life of its own. That was pretty neat, because Sam stops being a machine about, a quarter of the way into the game and starts becoming something else entirely. And again, like I said, that is the strongest part of this game. That is the strongest aspect of this game, is the storytelling and Sam and Emma's characters specifically. That core is what makes the game kind of really shine, in my opinion. Everything else is superfluous. Jim and Josh we could have done without them completely and just have them been either corpses that we had to investigate or audio logs that we had to go through. The communicating with the alien species, that could have also been done away with. A little bit more of the unknown could have been plugged in instead of those points where we communicate with them. Kind of having a little bit more, or maybe not more of the unknown, but just a different avenue of approach when it comes to communicating with these aliens, because the whole like matching the shapes to their shapes, it feels a little like monkey see monkey do, and it doesn't really have a purpose beyond, yes, we can repeat what you say back to us back to you. And I guess in a grand scheme of things, it's like the alien testing us to see if we are just going to repeat what they say. But I don't know, I feel like they could have done that better. The ending when they drop down into Saturn itself, that was pretty well done. That I feel like it calls out the fact that it's like very heavy. It also, they keep walking around and they keep seeing at other Emmas that failed, and I wish they hung onto those other Emmas a little longer and kind of showed a little bit more connection between Emma and her other Emmas, and instead of just her kind of ethereally walking through and then meeting the giant hexagon and communing with it, which don't get me wrong, I really like the ending. The ending was solid, the ending was strong, and it's so difficult to end a like thriller horror in any genre. It's difficult to end it because it's once you see the creature, once you understand the creature, the horror goes away. So the uncanny valley effect goes away. But all in all, just wrapping this all up in a bow, Emma and Sam as characters, fantastic. The story as a whole is pretty good. The side characters are kind of superfluous. They could have been turned into audio logs, and the whole like exploration aspect of the video game is pretty good. I can see how people would get fed up with it, and I do have to stress, if you are easily motion sick, do not play this game. You will just puke all over your keyboard. But with that, as I said, 7 out of 10, 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10 for Observation. Definitely solid video game. Give it a like, give it a try, and let me know what you think of the game. Let me know if you've played it. Let me know if you agree with my observations. Haha, get it. and my review, and my scoreboard, right? And don't forget to like and subscribe, and post a comment down below with your thoughts on Observation and any other game that you think I should play next. I think next we're gonna do Alien Isolation. I'm really excited because I played the first few hour or so of that game, and I really enjoyed it, and a lot of people have really enjoyed it, and I'm a huge fan of the franchise. So anyway, if you want to see that, stick around. Again, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.